Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair. Basically, this is 146th number video that is basically a Formula Award. And here, basically, we are discussing something about the formulas, basically, that are basically the attributes of the formulas that are basically more than hundreds, more than thousand, basically, you can say, and each and every attributes that are basically actual cost earned value. Each and every basically attributes have hundreds of balance sheets, and each and every attributes are basically equal to the nuclear energy also, basically, you can say. So like this, each and every balance sheet are connected with nuclear energies. So here basically, if I say that Microsoft is one of the nuclear energy, then it would not be wrong. Basically, it's 100% correct. So basically, this is Salesforce, PHP, Python, Python, C, C++, Visual Basic, ASP, D2K, Java. These all basically are nuclear energy, and each and every basically energies are basically 100% getting converted to human needs, basically. And here basically we are discussing about the software industries, how basically software industries are connected with the Bollywood industry. So everybody knows that each if any new city gets creates, then for example, I will take before this, basically we will take one example. If anybody want to know basically what this is city is going to generate and which kind of people basically are of Vadodara, of any city, basically, you can say. Here basically I'm taking example of Vadodara city. So that basically who can tell this? That is by default basically one person ask the government can tell. No, government can't tell. Because exact require exact basically how what the things are basically getting generated, that government basically can know, but that basically takes time. So before government basically, which are those groups who knows that this city is going to generate this only 100% basically in future. So that basically the Bollywood industry, they knows that this city is going to generate this energy, and the people who are going to stay here, they are also basically going to become like this only. For example, if you stay in Vadodara city for few months, then by default, basically, you are going to become like that. Basically, like that means it can be anything. Basically, so your attitude would be become like that. You will become like that. If you are staying in Mumbai, then basically you are going to become like that only. So, like, what is that like that? That basically the Bollywood industry knows, because they have written each and every human cells data, each and every basically you can say the energy data of the each and every blood cells, basically you can say. For example, one Bollywood person told that basically he basically was going to do the acting of the particular city, basically what this city is going to generate, so in the form of stories, basically you can say. So he was playing the role of a hero, basically. So like this, he was basically connected with the directors and writers, and he asked basically the writer basically that which kind of basically blood cells you are going to connect with this city. So he told that basically we are going to generate each and every types of blood cells in this city. So the new city which is going to create, that is going to generate romance blood cells, energy, angry blood cells, cool blood cells, mathematics blood cells, then historical blood cells, then English blood cells, then fast learning language blood cells. So like this, basically, they're basically the Bollywood writer told that we have given this 7 to 8 powers to this city. So if you want to do this type of task, then basically you 100% have to contact this city. So there is no duplicate city basically created. For example, this task is going to create in this city, but the backup plan might be there. Basically, if this city can't generate that particular thing, that city basically connected with some natural disaster or some problem came into that city. Due to that disaster or that problem, the city was not able to generate that energy. So for that, basically backup cities are created according to the backup plan, basically. of the Bollywood industry basically. Bollywood writer. So Bollywood groups basically writes each and every aspects basically. That's why basically I'm telling before software industry, Bollywood industry has designed the software industry. So entire software industry is designed by Bollywood. That is basically the things basically how it's going to generate the each and every design that if basically we are going to discuss here basically. So here we are talking about the new city which is going to create and new city basically which has created and which is going to create and the future basically each and every future plan basically which is setted by the Bollywood groups basically that are writers. And here basically Bollywood writer told that we are basically just a writer, we are just one consultant basically you can say, who basically sets the city, who sets the stories of the cities, that this city is going to generate this story only, that city is going to generate that story only. So we are just generating that story. But according to the production plan basically, that is basically the producer basically, that are basically who create, who invest in the money basically, who invest in the city creation basically, that are basically by default who, that are basically businessmen, and that basically they invest the money in the form of investment. And when the investment by default comes, it comes connect to the banking industry. And businessmen basically don't invest like that basically. First they see basically whether if we are invest, if this particular businessman is investing money in this city, then basically is any health problem basically is going to generate to him. So basically connected that to how basically earth plan, how basically the investment is going to generate, going to connect to the health issue, because he is investing the money. So how health is going to connect to that particular person. So he is investing to this certain, this particular city, that means the city which is going to create, that energy is 100% going to connect to that particular person, that is basically the investor person basically. So this connects like this also. For example, there is one person who is a salaried person and who is earning more than 10 lakh basically per annum, basically 12 lakh assume that. So he connects to seven, for example, the tax rebate is of 5 lakh. So for, till 5 lakh basically it's a taxable, right? So he invested certain money. So banking industry knows that he has invested the certain money to this sector. So his health basically is going to taken care by this investment industry, that is. So like this, the investment industry basically their first formula is health. So they keep tracks of the health and in the form of power and energy groups basically, because he connects with the power and energy groups only by default, and the nuclear company handles each and everything basically. So like this, his money gets invest, and according to money basically his health gets invest. And like this the businessman told that yeah basically we are ready to invest here because um, uh, from this invest basically my health is going to get improved more and more. So like this he invested certain money, and like this the city got created. And when the city is getting created, the banking industry have basically each and every uh, assets basically which is created by the certain groups. The assets are basically, for example, text box. Text box is the asset of software industry. So text box is created by thousands of cities. So it might possible that they have to stretch the database of the text box. That is basically this thousand cities a database of the text box. That also you can say. So it might possible that the space they might require, they want to stretch the text box database. So for that basically they connected the banking industry connected with the text box industry. So just see basically how the investment industry is getting work. The investment directors, the investment managers, investment vice presidents, basically who are into the finance industry, how they connects with the, how they are directly, how they are basically always active in the investment industry, because it might possible any time the investment can happen. So like this he connected with the banking industry connected with these groups, whether you want this space or not in your investment. So basically, they told, yeah, basically we want a little bit space in this city new creation which is getting happening. So like this, they purchased some 20 to 30 kilometers of area of that from that city. So like this, they invested the text box energy basically of the text box, that is basically the software industry. It's a software industry property basically. So like this, they invested 30 kilometers and they scratch their database. Like this, combo box is there. Like this, the software industry invested in the banking industry. So the banking industry basically, the investor basically the bank, World Bank group is this basically permission only World Bank has. Local bank basically they don't have the permission because it's a text box and it's a universe. It's a totally world level and universal level property basically, asset basically you can say. So that basically authority only World Bank have. World Bank connects with the each and every local banks of the countries, and like this they connects with the, like this the text box property basically was created here. Like this, there are many energies. Like Microsoft basically company told that we basically have 1,000 human needs basically already created from the 1,000 cities. So if we want one more city, which basically is going to generate one new more human needs basically. For that basically we have already the software which is basically generating the data also, and thus the data is also collected by the software, so by the power companies, software companies, and the energy companies and the nuclear power company. So they are telling that we are ready to give the production of the construction materials also. So like this, they have created the construction materials and they are telling that we can give the construction material to the Microsoft. According to the Microsoft Energy, this Microsoft's that area, that is basically Microsoft told that they have purchased some 16 to 17 kilometers area. So like this, the Microsoft space got created there in that city. Like this, many company got connected. So this was about the software industry. Like this, banking industry also got connected there. Like this, health industry got connected there. Like this, the food industry got connected. Like this, the sales industry got connected. Like banking industry got connected. Like education industry got connected to that city because college might require that, school might require that, because if you are staying in that city basically, then basically your child and your future basically requires education. So for education industry connected with this banking industry. So like this basically each and every sectors gets connected with this banking industry, and the formula gets more connected with the balance sheets. So earned value, that is basically the formula attributes, that is equal to some certain values, certain formulas, certain balance sheet. One attribute equals to 100 balance sheet gets generated. So this 100 generate basically balance sheet basically, that for one balance sheet you required one city, one country basically. So each country can generate a one balance sheet only. That is basically by default. So you can just imagine if one country, that is basically the, I will take example of 200 crore Indian population. They are only able to generate one balance sheet from one country. Then you can just imagine the data level also of the each and every basically you can say attributes. So earned value is equal to thousands of, sorry, hundreds of balance sheets, and one balance sheet is created by the one country. So you can just imagine the structure level uh, and the investment level of the banking industry. And here basically Bollywood industry says that we basically have the each and every stories, user stories. They have the sprint plans. They have the each and every task of the each and every areas which is going to generate. So Bollywood industry says that we have written the story of these cities, and according to that only the things are going to work. Because we have got the money, we are basically a consultant. We generate the user stories because we only have the authority to visualize the stuff basically of the city, which world is going to see. For example, Vadodara is doing this stuff. So world is going to see this stuff only. And that is basically written by the Bollywood industry when the city was created that time. So that time basically when the city was created, at that time whatever the things Vadodara city is going to do, that was written by the Bollywood industry that time only. So you can basically just imagine the uh, power also basically the Bollywood industry have, and the if software industry basically is created by the Bollywood industry, and the top 20 uh, richest person basically are in top 20, basically there are more than 4 to 5 people richest person of the software industry only. So how big a rich industry the Bollywood industry might be, that basically the question is. So like this basically we are stopping with this question. This is basically 146th number, and in 147th number basically we are going to discuss a little bit more about the formulas, the attributes connected with the hundreds of balance sheets, and each balance sheet created by one country, and one country contains India. Basically I will take one example that is basically contain 200 crore population. So you can just imagine if one country is basically generating the one balance sheet of the attribute that is basically earned value or actual cost. So there are hundreds of balance sheet basically which is getting generated. So in 147th number we are going to discuss a little bit more about the each and every attributes of the formulas.